Okay. Got it.
Yeah, nearly there. Welcome, everyone, to episode 1 of Diary of an Awaretrepreneur, where we're going to take a bit of time to dive deep and unpack the lives of some of our Awaretrepreneur tribe members, some of our Mentor 7 clan members, and get an understanding of this journey of personal growth, awareness, and expansion through the personal pillars and how that's affecting and growing businesses. There's so much knowledge and power in people's experiences, their backgrounds, and how they've been through things. And we have a beautiful man with us today that's been in the Awaretrepreneur tribe for a while, James Last. But yeah, my name's Rich Latimer, and welcome to our first episode. And to my co-founder, Martin.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great to have James here with us. And today he's gonna unfold some of his story for us to get an insight into how he's arrived at where he is. And I suspect we're gonna uncover some fascinating insights along the way.
There's wisdom in storytelling. Beautiful.
Yeah. So
Welcome.
first, what I'd be interested in, James, is for you to share maybe 3 sort of life-defining pivotal moments just in your early life that sort of were formative for you and you think has contributed to how you've got to who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, thanks guys for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to be a part of all this with you guys. I suppose 3 sort of life-defining points for me was look, the big one as a child, the big one in everyone's life is a marriage breakdown of your parents. It's always pivotal.
Right. Wow.
And I was quite young when that happened, but I have a wonderful family. Those things occur, it's how it goes, but it does change a bit. You sort of get uprooted, you got to move, you got to find a new path. You're quite young, you don't really know what's going on. But I learned the power of caring, I suppose, through all that, through my mum, who's a fantastic woman. Been a nurse for a long, long time. She's spent a whole life caring for people. And it changed the relationship I had with my brothers, with my father, which is gone around and come back, but it's all those things you don't understand, and they kind of don't become that pivotal until you're a bit older and you kind of realise you've got a bit more life experience. You can sort of figure out that not everything's about us, and things go a bit sideways sometimes.
Yeah,
so that's probably one. But the biggest single pivotal moment of my life was when I was 17 and I finished high school and joined the army as a young lad who thought I knew a lot more than what I did, which was quite a rude awakening when you wake up that first morning at Kapuka and you think, what am I doing with my time here? I don't know if I can do this. It takes quite a bit of a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, and you've got to want to be there. But I did that at 17. I joined the army to fix helicopters. That's what I wanted to do, which comes from my dad mostly, who's a ex-Army and Air Force flight test engineer, growing up as a boy. That we were always around, and I remember from a young age that the only 2 things I ever wanted to be was a soldier and something to do with aviation. And I was lucky that at 17, just as I finished year 12, a few weeks afterwards, I got on the bus and I started that journey, which was 11 years, a long journey. I didn't get everything I wanted out of that. There was a few reasons for that, which is probably the least of my third most pivotal part of my journey was my 6-month deployment to East Timor in 2010. When I was working on Black Hawk helicopters, we're doing peacekeeping, aeromedical evacuation, and support to the government there in a trying time. Well, it was getting better by that stage. It was good. It was getting a little bit better. So, but helping to improve the lives, and that was pivotal for 2 reasons. Number one, it was that's why you join. You join to go and help people and to go and do that stuff. And secondly, I had an injury. I fell from the back of a helicopter. I was maintaining a Black Hawk helicopter at the time at Dili Airport. Slipped. Just didn't seem like too much at all. I was out there by myself. Went to the gym that night with my team. Didn't feel great after the gym. Cracked on, finished off the deployment, come home and started a long journey of knee surgeries, culminating last year with my fourth. That was pivotal because it really, I didn't know it at the time, but it was really the end of my soldiering career from that point on. I tried to do more things. I got accepted to the Royal Military College at Duntroon to become an officer. Within a few months, my knee broke down again. I had my second surgery there. They requested I go back to fix helicopters, which I did. I was hoping to be able to go to university at ADFA. That fell through. Got lucky again, in a sense, and got sent to Holland for a few weeks to do a course on Chinook helicopters, which was a great time in my life and some great friends there. Come home, moved from Sydney to Townsville. The Army just sort of puts you wherever. It's home sort of wherever your backpack is. Supposed to go to Afghanistan in 2013 and my knee went again. So the third time in just over 2 years, I think it was that it destroyed itself. And I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So everything had sort of fallen apart. Everything I wanted to do was sort of starting to get taken off. I wanted to be an officer. That got taken away. I wanted to continue on soldering. That got taken away. And I was kind of at this precipice of life where I had to think, I can't keep doing what I'm doing because this isn't working for me. So I've got to do something else, and I've got to try and find what that is, and I've got to figure it out. And I'd done a bit of study before. I'd done a year of engineering at university part time. Wasn't really for me being an engineer. I think I could have done it, but it just didn't sit right. So I thought, well, the best way to move forward is to do the hardest thing you can. And I just thought, what's the highest level degree I can get myself into with my work experience, my certificates in aircraft maintenance, and that happened to be the master's degree of aviation management, focusing on safety management systems and human factors, which are two things I really hadn't looked at. Evan, I was aware of work health safety stuff. You have to be. You're aware of the importance of good maintenance in aircraft. It's vitally important to the safe flight. You don't get a chance to pull over on a cloud if your technician's made a mistake. It's going to lead to something that the pilot has to do. And that's in the good times. If it's a serious issue that you've affected in maintenance, the pilot won't have a chance to correct it. So I'd never studied it before. I'd never really looked at it, but I thought, let's just go for it. Let's see how far I can take this. I set myself a goal to pass that with distinction, which I did at the end of 2015. And I loved every second of studying that. I don't know if it was just sort of a bit of a luck, which is probably part to do with it. You got to make your own luck. It was a lot of, I was very confident. I was very encouraged. I was very driven because I knew I needed to produce a different path for myself. Yeah. And those things probably all link in together with a natural ability that just made this stuff just click. It just clicked with me as to who I am and what I do and how I think, how I solve problems and that sort of natural nurturing and caring sort of stuff that I touched on earlier. And so, really, those are probably the three biggest moments personally from a journey perspective. And then, of course, the biggest moment in my life has been having my stepdaughter. And she's changed me immensely. And, I couldn't love her anymore. And she's taught me so much. So that one's always, I don't call it a pivotal moment. I'll call it a moment that had to happen and did happen. And it's been my greatest pleasure.
Yeah, wow. Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Well, as you know, because you've been walking this Awaretrepreneur journey for a while, where we're really looking at that interplay between what we call the personal pillars, the health and self, the relationship and family, money and prosperity, and community and creativity, and business drivers, business pillars, purpose and profitability, sales and marketing, team and systems, and then innovation and legacy. And as someone's building a story like what you're sharing there and living life, going through these experiences that you're having, building capacity, faculty, resiliences, wisdoms, and then working out how how to bring those together in a way where they culminate and they become something. They become part of how you move to the next level, really. So how you take all these things, these elements of growth that have been drawn from these different areas, focus them and work out, how that moves forward. I reckon the question I'd like to ask off the back of the three pivotal moments would be, what do what are the three things? I guess this idea of three things would be great, but what do you think of the three? What's the three primary drivers? The three things that drive you and that have gotten you through these different experiences. What is it that you feel is kind of a primary driver behind your force?
I suppose the first one is I like a challenge.
Okay.
I like to have the stress. I like
Yeah.
it's just sort of we all have a curve of the amount of stress that's really good for us, and when we operate at our best. I seem to find mine's at probably the higher level. I really like to see the challenge and have to start to figure it out. Can sound a bit crazy coming from a safety guy. The less prepared I am, the better I am, because that isn't how the management systems generate work. But what I mean by that is that when the time comes for that off-nominal condition and the innovative thinking, I find that being able to accept the challenges, not a negative but a positive, has always kept me in really, really good stead through the hard times. And there's been some difficult times. There's been some really hard times where I felt like nothing was going to work out. I've wasted all my time. I haven't done anything, and that has an effect on your mental health, has effect on your motivation, has effect on physical health. But I've always sort of found that when that challenge comes, I like to think I'm the kind of person who can step up to it, and either I'm faking it till I make it, or I'm good to go. And I don't deep dive too much on which one of those it is, because I don't think it really matters. I think the approach is the same either way. That's a big driver. The second driver I've got is that I like to look after the people around me. I like to be someone they can rely on, who they can talk to, who they can bring their problems to. I like to be a sort of a beacon of, hey, you can if you go after things, you can make it happen. If it feels hard at the start, that's supposed to be that way. It's not going to be like that forever. And that drives me personally and professionally. That you got to we're looking out for people. Is sort of my natural sort of way of doing things, and it's always driven me. If I can improve somebody's time or life, or even no matter how small or big, it's always worthwhile, I believe. And the third one is just a sort of a natural push for success, which probably comes from my innate need to do the right thing. I'm pretty big on that, and when it sort of comes to the forefront as a driver, it's about, well, the right thing is to put your best foot forward. The right thing is to pass. The right thing is to meet the requirements. It's very structured and logical. It's kind of how my brain. But I don't like to not do well. I don't like to not be in the top echelon. I don't like to be one of the pack, just making up the numbers. So I've never ever liked it, and it's something I've had to sort of rethink as I've got a bit older, because you don't have to be the top 1% in 100% of things you do. You can leave things. You can let other people do it for you. You can decide that today's not my day, and I'm not going to burn the candle from both ends. And it takes a bit of learning, but once you've managed to balance that, I find it's critical, professionally and personally, that you want to be the best at what you do.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I'm really fascinated with this third driver. Too. I'm just sort of wondering what might be the source of that. Where do you think, how early in your life can you remember that being important for you?
Oh, early. My whole life. My year 3 primary teacher said I was like a sponge. I sat at the front and took all the information in. So I had a bit of a natural affinity for, and I still do, for taking on information. I've got a very good memory recall. I can sort of join the dots in my mind. I'm not as good as writing it down, but I can definitely do that. And and it gets me there. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff we have in life. There's moments of I've probably always been relatively low self-esteem, which when you think of my drivers, that probably isn't too much of a surprise, right? It's those natural sort of things that I've got to get me from point A to point B. They bring with it a certain amount of anxiety, which is probably natural in me. I've always been relatively naturally anxious and nervous. I'm much more. I call it courageous in doing. It makes it. I find it. I'm very nervous and anxious before I start things. Once I start to go, the momentum comes, and I build that confidence from the doing. And I've met other people who I've looked at and thought, oh, geez, I'd love to be able to take a bit of your DNA that has that full confidence before starting, because I might be an unstoppable force. But it all comes from that, just an initial, probably bit of low self-esteem, naturally sort of anxious kind of guy, personality-wise, and just sort of how I'm put together, just chemically. And that's where it comes from. And I'm a lot of the time I tried to hide that, and I didn't want to look weak or look like I wasn't on top of things, because that can be a bit incongruent with my drivers. But but you can't. And look, we all do that in life. We go through our stages in life and we're wearing a mask, right? Everyone does it. You got to learn these lessons the hard way when you're growing up. Like I said, I was 17 when I joined the army. I was just a kid. I thought I was a man. I was 21 in East Timor. I was 22 doing the Queensland floods. I turned 23 in operations in Papua New Guinea. I'd been working on counterterrorism, support to counterterrorism in Sydney. We're doing all these amazing things. So you kind of feel like you have to have that mask up of this high confidence, high esteem individual in order to be successful. But everyone learns the hard way, and I certainly did that doesn't pay off for long. You can do it for a little bit. It'll help you through in maybe short spurts, but it won't help you out going forward. You've got to be true to yourself, and and I'm happy with who I am, and I know my self-esteem is probably lower than average as a natural thing. It's just how I am. And with my drivers, it makes perfect sense once you unpack it. But those would be my drivers. But and that's where it comes from. Yeah, and that's where it is. And we learn through life, and we make mistakes, and we have our successes, and we try and figure out what's going to work for us and the people who we care about.
Oh, interesting. So in a sense, you've developed a way to take the sense of that low self-esteem is. What's that? Is like a sense of not good enough, or a sense of not comparing favorably to others. What's the core of it, do you think?
It's a bit of both. It's that there's no way I'm good enough to do this, and people are much better than me. And that's that immature view of when you're younger and you're looking at the highlight reels. Yeah. You only see people's highlight reels. There's very few people in your life where you see the behind the scenes and the bloopers. But it was I just didn't feel like I felt like I knew I was intelligent. I didn't feel like it mattered. I thought there were other things that were more important. I don't believe that now. I was trying. It was quite difficult, I found, to make a lot of friends when I was younger. I was very good at being a leader. I wasn't so good at getting really close to people, and that started to change through my teen years. And I've still got my best friends in the world are from then now. We've been friends for 20 years. But I met a whole bunch of people through that time and those formative years. And I remember sitting down with my mum at one stage and just saying, "Geez, I'm just not like any of these people. I don't know where I fit. I don't know where I'm supposed to be." And that's something I've grappled with in life. Even to this day, I still don't think I've really found my one true place. I don't even know if one exists. But because I like the uncomfortable, and I like the challenge, and I like to lean on my resilience and use all that inner strength and that experience I've got. I kind of don't mind that I haven't found my place right now. But certainly when I was younger, it was I never felt like I fit in. I just felt like a bit different. I felt, and a lot of that's internalized. But a lot of that was, where I was going and what I wanted to achieve, and these ideas that I had, and sort of the way that my brain worked was a little bit different. I was hanging around with some rascals who were, they'd all dropped out of school. Most of my friends, they were lovely guys, and we cared about each other a lot. But you look at where they are now, and you can't help but you feel like maybe I could have done more. There's some people who haven't had a very good life, and you know, been able to have the success and achievement I have. But other guys who grew up with them, like my best friend, he's done exceptionally well, brilliantly. And you go, well, in the end, it's a choice. You're allowed to grow, you're allowed to change, you're allowed to choose who you grow and you change with. But yeah, definitely those sort of social interactions weren't my strong point. Bit of low self-esteem mixed in with that, and a bit of anxiety as just sort of my natural response to the world.
So how do you think? What do you think? Somehow you've been able to develop that into a positive driver for you.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of interested to find out what the mechanism, how you're able to leverage that, because that's a really powerful thing. Because many of us grow up with some version of what you're describing, some feeling of not enough. And so I think you've been able to discover and develop something that's really valuable. So are you able to sort of describe how you're able to do that?
Yeah, because people listening could really, that's a beautiful process. This diary of Awaretrepreneur.
Fascinated.
The driver.
I'm fascinated.
And one thing I want to preface that question before you dive into it too, is that, and this is a part of what's happening with this Awaretrepreneur project, is that in a way, it's completely normal in elements of the way our society is structured and the way that things are built. I mean, we're seeing incredible rates of youth anxiety and youth depression and a whole range of things. Now, you get up into business. I'm reading the stats recently that the number one place where there is depression, anxiety, suicide is in the small and medium business realm, with depressions and the things that are coming. A lot of people listening to this podcast will be people that are, looking for resources in and around how to grow mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and how that impacts and translates to business. And this is the stuff. This is like, how does one navigate almost a system and a process that, you look at some of the, modern psychologists, philosophers like Gabor Mate, the myth of normal, where it's like, it's almost impossible to not have self-esteem issues, to not have self-esteem, to not have anxiety troubles with elements of how the world and society is built. But then it is what it is as well, isn't it? This is part of the journey. And we are in these different situations for whatever reason. Everyone gets a different path, as you said, and there is choices there. But yeah, it'd be cool to understand how you've been able to come from that place of transmutation and kind of working with it and turning it into something that serves you.
Yeah.
So I'll do my best, but I think look, the first thing you need is time, right? Time brings you. And with that experience, you figure out who you are as an individual, not who you are as a group or who you're with, or everything feels so insulated until you become an adult, and then everything feels so open. And you kind of got stuck in both worlds, right? So the first thing is time, and you've got to be kind enough to yourself to give yourself that time. I rushed a lot. I tried to do everything. I thought I've got to get there now, or I'm going to be a failure. And that ultimately led to failures. Ultimately, it did lead to some successes over time, but I think they were sort of a symptom of the initial failure, or the initial non-completion of something, So so you got to give yourself some time. You got to give yourself time. You got to be kind to yourself. So it's kind may not be the right word, but you've got to be logical about the failures that you make. You're going to make them. You're going to get knocked over. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to make. You're going to be massive. And you're going to look back in 10 years and go, "Geez, why did I do that?" But you don't want to dwell on it, right? Because everything you do, good or bad, gets you to a position that you're in. I'm sitting in this chair because of all those things, right? And if I could go back and maybe 5 years ago, if I go back and change a few things, I might have said yes. But would I say that now? And absolutely not. There's no. This is where I am. This is who I am. I'm happy with who I am. And I've had my things that have gone wrong. So you got to be logical about your phase. They will happen. They don't mean catastrophic every time. Plenty of natural mitigations in place. From a more technical, actually, I'll say from a personal perspective, you need people around you, and you'll be surprised how many you've got. I found is, I thought there really wasn't many, and I was sort of just floating along on a buoy somewhere. I had to figure it all out myself, and that isn't true. That isn't true. I have lots of people around me. It was, it's sort of a natural human reaction. Things start going well. You want to be able to pinpoint something you can blame that isn't internalized.
Yeah.
When sometimes you really need to do that.
Yeah.
But I had some wonderful people around me. People who were always encouraging me. And did I listen enough to them? No, I didn't. I didn't believe them. I didn't think they were right. I thought, no, they're just doing that because they have to. And then there's all those sort of immature thoughts you have when you're a young man and trying to find your place in the world. And but they did care, and they kept up those people I had. They kept that up for a long time, and I was doing the same to them. It wasn't one way; it was two ways. It was even more incongruent with my thinking that I can do it for them, but they're doing it to me. That somehow it's different, and it's something we grapple with naturally, right?
That's so true.
We grapple with that.
Yeah.
We think people deserve the best of us more than we do, but so that having those people around to give me confidence and growth meant that when push really came to shove, and I'd grown enough as a person, I was willing to take the first step. Even though I was sort of a bit anxious and nervous about it, but that's the personal that having someone in your life you have to step up for is important. That interconnection is important. It can be anybody. For me, it's my daughter. There's nothing that's going to stop me from giving her a good life. I'll make sure of it, and it doesn't matter what it costs me or what I have to do. It'll happen, and that on the, I'll call it the selfish side, but on the other side of it is every challenge is a little bit easier.
Yeah,
they're a bit easier. You're fighting for somebody else, so we're linking back into that incongruence.
Yeah.
From the technical bit, I was really lucky with what I studied. The universe kind of put it in my lap.
Yeah.
Studying social psychology and evolutionary psychology, and I started to use just a few internalized tricks to try and trick that social animal part of my brain when I do things. And it's just simple mental models and simple inward discussion of, you're not the first person to do this. So probably thousands, maybe more, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
Have already done this or tried it. And, at least most things in life, most people get through. You don't have to be the top 1%. You've only got to not be the bottom 1%. Yeah. Which can sound a bit negative, but it can help you out, because you go, well, there's a whole group of people who did it. I can be part of that group. Those inner motivations to be part of a team. You can start to just, it's not your golden ticket to success, but it's one of those things you can just start to leverage your psychology in a direction that gets you moving and makes you feel a bit easier. And also in that study, I did a lot of stuff on decision making and, how do we as humans process information? And there's really important things in there about situational awareness and our perception of our environments and what's actually going on around us and how that affects us, how our emotions affect our attitudes and vice versa. They're linked. You learn these things and you start to put them together and you realise, well, when they say stand up straight, put a smile on your face and walk around like that for half a day, you'll have a better day. It's because it works. If you feel like you're going to have a really negative time when you go somewhere, you might be going out for going to see, even just a work party, you're going to have a really bad time. You will have a bad time because your body language will put out that. So your emotions and attitudes are linked. Your brain does not like being out of whack. It hates it. So it'll force that, and that forces those interactions to be more negative. Not overtly, but your body language will then be mirrored by somebody else, and you've put out negative. So there's all these little things sort of working together. So you start to really understand the power of being aware of your surroundings, of understanding what your perception is, how we make decisions, what it means when we make a decision, and what are those social things that you can sort of lean on to help drive you through when you get it done. And you put all those things together, and people telling you that they're proud of you, they're encouraging you, someone you can talk when you're having a bad time. You've got somebody to fight for, and you're leaning into these. For me personally, into these things that evolution and nature have provided us. It links them together. I don't think it's any real surprise. If you look about the Awaretrepreneur stuff, the way it works is it's the personal, it's the professional, and it's the spiritual. It's everything around us. You've got to put it together in its place, and that doesn't happen overnight. You need to figure out, and you might need a tad more percentage on one part than the other for certain challenges and whatnot. And sometimes the way to meet the challenge is to just ask for help. Say, I can't deal with this. This is something that I haven't got the skills, or I'm overwhelmed, or whatever it is.
And being able to be raw and vulnerable in that,
yeah,
and that's exactly what we're inviting with the Awaretrepreneur work, with business owners, that's saying, look, it's not about being the best and most successful. It's about finding your true self and your real ultimate growth, and that interconnection. What you're speaking about there. I was speaking to a guy from Canada who's working on some incredible global projects in this space, but basically it's like remembering the fundamental laws. Yeah. So you're a scientist in a way. You understand fundamental laws of physics of the aircraft and different things. So there are certain things that are bedrocks. Yeah. Certain things that are universal concepts and fundamental aspects of how things work, and human interconnectedness, human need to be real and seen and vulnerable in the eyes of others and peers, and feel comfortable in that process, comfortable in their failure, to be able to express and deeply be heard and responded and held accountable. These things were, these things permeated a lot of sort of ancient indigenous and tribal and smaller cultural units. And a lot of that's been lost and dropped and replaced with striving and perfectionism and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 figure incomes in the business world. So seeing how you've been growing as a person through all these different challenges, but remembering these fundamental laws that drive it. And then I gather, in a way, maybe that's part of what attracted you to go into the Awaretrepreneur work as well. And the coaching work was like, okay, I want to go further in that. Plus, obviously, and I guess when the next thing is we can move into is that you're preparing for a transition. You've got a career history there, you've got an education history you've explained, but you've also got a vision for something that you can bring to the world on your own terms, on your own 2 feet. So it'd be nice to hear a bit about what that project is, and maybe a bit about why you're kind of drawn in and to the Awaretrepreneur work, and as a method of supporting you to kind of continue that personal growth, but to bring this project to life. And so, I'd love to hear a bit about the project, first of all.
Yeah. So the project is, I've been working as a consultant for the last 7 years since I discharged from the army, and I've been working in very senior positions in safety management systems, system safety engineering, human factors engineering, airworthiness organisations. I'm currently the head of system safety for Army Aviation Systems Branch. I'm a contractor back to Army. I didn't go too far, but I look after the system safety programs for all the flying crewed and uncrewed fleets in Army Aviation, minus the ARH Tiger, which has a commercial position. So I have the Chinook fleet, the Black Hawk fleet, which is new. It's getting here now. The Apache acquisition, 5 uncrewed systems currently, a bunch more in acquisition, a bunch of other stuff. I look after the flight simulators, the GSE, which is general servicing equipment, all the plant, the work health safety program for our maintainers who are going to go and maintain the aircraft. And basically what I do is I run the program, and it's a program I designed, I built, I implemented. I've now got a team of guys who are working each individually on a platform, which is good, because I've been doing individual platforms and the top job for a little while, so it's been nice to get a bit more time to be a bit more creative in that management space. But we look after the airworthiness. The aircraft, when the pilot wants it to go left, it better go left. He wants it to go up or down, right, wants to land, do whatever he does, press a button in the cockpit. It better do what it is designed to do. And if it doesn't, it can get very dangerous very quickly. So the program that I do takes the design perspective and the use perspective of the aircraft as a thing, and make sure that it's operating to the appropriate design standards. It's sort of what we call the practical application in function and failure against the standards it needs to meet. We want to know, is it functioning properly? And when it's failing, is it failing how we expected it to fail? And if it's not, we better do something about it. So that's very simply sort of what I do. I take a whole bunch of things into that, human factors, so thinking about the human in the system, systems theoretical process analyses, and very basic hazard management and risk tools and things, and failure mode effects, criticality, functional hazard assessments, all these kind of things put together, and then working very closely with the operator and aiding them on their journey through their operational SMS and how they go about taking all of the things that they do, and ensuring they get effective and a safe flight. Right, we need both of those things. It's easy to be safe, you just don't do it. But you got to be safe and effective. That's when the difficulty comes in. So my plan with this with my project is I want to take that out to the world. I want to I take a very human based approach to how I implement the system, but the system itself works with a system and organisational focus. We don't want to blame people. It happens all over the place. Aviation's gone a long way away from that, but other areas still, they just look for the human cause of issues. And what I want to do is take what I've learnt and what I've implemented and what I've done and implement management systems for organisations everywhere. I mean, I've got a big idea of, it can be everyone from a mum and dad shop to the world's largest business. It's design systems that are designed for the people who work for you and the people who are going to use your product. Allow them to make good decisions when they're working and or using, and find the areas in your organisation that are not enabling that. Where's the waste? Let's gain some efficiency. If we do that, we'll gain significant safety increases, both from the primary effect of if something goes wrong, but also the major business effect, which is the product has to work. It has to work as you want it to work. It's got to meet your designed requirements, and the customer is expecting it to meet those requirements as well. So, the more philosophical bit is, if it's not working how it's supposed to be, you're forcing people to make workarounds. They make workarounds. They don't understand the design. It gets dangerous very quickly. It also gets very, very inefficient, your operation. So my plan is to take all that stuff I've learned, those things I've seen. I've seen a lot of stuff go wrong. I've seen a lot of stuff go right. I've worked in a lot of areas. I've studied a lot. I've implemented things. It's about that management system. I want to take that to the world and try and improve overall people's experiences at work, people's experiences with products, and as a higher level than that, be a part of the growing force of advancement of who we are as people and a society, because it's vitally important to us as individuals and as a species, is that we have that progression. It's being part of a team's number one. Progression is not far behind. We need to be progressing. It's the only thing that's kept us here for the last couple 100,000 years, right? Is we've been able to progress. So I want to be a part of that. So that's my aim. That's what I want to do, and I'm going to do that with my brand of system safety, of human factors, of system process, from everything from basic work health safety through to, if you need to design a new spaceship, I can help you out from 0 to 100. I have got the skills, the products, the ability, and the way to do it. And I've worked very hard for that. And it's proven, right? It's been proven. So that's the key. So it's been really good. And that sort of led me down this path of, I was sitting on this company for a couple of years, and I didn't really know where to start. Like, I'd built a website, I'd played around a bit, I was working on this system. I really wanted to see that get through for Army Aviation. It's a place that I do care about a lot, and I've got a lot of friends who are still in uniform, and I wanted to make sure we were doing the right thing by them, and by improving that system the way that I have with my team. We have absolutely made the areas that I can affect safer, better, and more efficient. There's still nothing's ever perfect. There's still plenty of ways to go, and things feed into systems. But certainly, and I think some of the issues this year that we saw in Army Aviation, which are incredibly sad, it wasn't one of my fleets. I wasn't working on that. But we don't want to see that happen again. We don't want that. We want to try and get rid of it. Now, we can't always. There's dangerous parts to the work, but I want to make sure that, at least from the perspectives that I can hold, that we've done everything absolutely possible. So I did that, and now I've got, well, it's time for the change. It's time for the next part of the journey. And I just felt like I was treading water. I was in the pool, but I wasn't going anywhere. And then it just the universe sort of put Awaretrepreneur in front of me, and I was a little I probably was a bit down at the time. I was probably overworked. I was a bit stressed. I spent a lot of time this year trying to get on top of these things myself. And then when that sort of opportunity came along, I was a little bit at the start. I was a bit like, is this going to be for me? What are we actually going to do? I don't feel comfortable talking about myself. And all those things. But what I wanted to do, and what I knew my block was the technical bit. I knew the skill sets there. It's how do I get it out into the world, and that's an interconnected thing. That's a personality, a communication thing, and in some ways a spiritual thing. I had to sort of redefine the importance in my mind if I want to get that, if I want to make that goal. You have all the skill set in the world. It's not going to matter if you can't get it in front of anyone. And then it got me here, and in that time, you know, I've had a great time. I've had an absolute blast with you guys and the clan, and you know, just meeting these wonderful people who are just beautiful strangers, who were open. That for me was like, oh, well, these guys are as successful as, right, and they're open. Well, that's telling me something. You know, they were willing to listen and give me advice and tell me when I'm going wrong or when I'm going right, and they've put their trust in me to help me out with things and stuff. And then that starts to build, and then you start to realize, well, I've got the skill set. Now I've sort of got I've met that requirement in my mind that I'm in a position where I can push that forward. And that's starting, and that journey has started. The company is called Lastline Solutions. You can find us on the internet, lastlinesolutions.com.au. And, you know, it's about talking to people. It's about getting out there. It's about having those discussions, which, you know, Rich, you've been helping me out with the heat. And I'm feeling more positive and courageous and confident than I think I ever have. And it's because I'm betting on myself, and I've looked for the right support, and I make good decisions, and I know I can do it. You know, I just know that I can. I know I've got the skill set. There's no problem in my little part of the world, any little part of the science, but there's nothing in there that I either can't figure out or can't go and find the information and then figure it out. So
the support for. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love how you brought in there, because I remember, you know, obviously meeting you initially when you were considering joining the Awaretrepreneur tribe. Obviously, we've got the networking component, but we've got the deeper clan work, and it's quite an interesting, you know, and you can probably speak to it more for the listeners to understand deeper, but it's, you may have noticed that, you know, we're working through these personal pillars and these business pillars. You know, we're getting this collaborative small group mentoring to grow our projects, but there's a spiritual and emotional element in there, in the sense of, due to the nature of the way we run the clan work and the level of connectedness, and you called it openness and connectivity, and the core values that, you know, which is to love, to learn, to serve, and uplift. When you, I guess, and you can reflect on how this has been effective for you, but, you know, when I met you, it was like, it's almost like, and this is so common for me. So obviously I'm an Awaretrepreneur with multiple projects, and I've only survived through putting that beautiful support around me. Yeah. And then obviously I reached a point where it's like, I wanted more than just the support from a consultancy level and business model level and marketing. You know, I needed to feel that I had a really complete holistic thing, where it's also about how I'm growing as a man, as a human. And so that's what Martin and I really wanted to take to the world with this project. It's like, look, it's all well and great about the businesses. We're going to do that. That's going to happen. Projects are going to unfold, but where are they coming from? How did we get here to the point where we want to do them? Where is our connection in the humanity of this and to each other? And ultimately, what are we doing? Well, you know, business is a big vehicle. Business is huge in the planet, yeah, and money, and it's kind of like, it feels as though we're in a time in humanity where it's kind of like what you were saying, that it's this evolution process, yeah. It's, if we're not evolving, then what are we doing? Exactly as you said. So we were like, well, if we're not evolving in us as the human, as the individual, as the person, and we're not drawing upon fundamental methods of doing that, which are interconnected connection and all these other things that we're working with in the Awaretrepreneur tribe, then how are we going to grow projects that have got that built into it? So yeah, I guess the question I'd like to know is that through this journey you've been going through in that clan work, you know, and we'll hear more about where the future is for you, yeah. But how have you seen the way that work have an effect on you as on how you've grown and expanded and opened, and not only that, how it's kind of opened that doorway for what you want to do? Because you've come a long way from kind of like, oh, I think I'm gonna, you know, exit the employment situation. You've got this idea of being sitting on all the rest of it. You're a little bit down and out. There was other things going on. I mean, you're a different person now in a way. Like when you talk about that project, the where you're at, how you feel about it, it'd be good to get an understanding of, what do you feel have been the big personal growth aspects, and how do you feel that how do you feel that they've been able to cross over into what you want to do with your project?
Yeah. So I think the big one is just being out of your bubble, I suppose, is you're around if you think about it from a work perspective, you're around the same people all day, and really the goal is take your skill set A and go to there and make it B. That's work, right? That's what we all do. You want to bang it down to a sentence. That's what it is, and and there's nothing wrong with that either. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfect. That is why we're able to do things right. Like, I mean, we can't get around if there aren't people doing that. People are very good at it. And I was sort of in a position where I felt like I could give more. I felt like I could do more, but I didn't know. I didn't have anyone really to talk about with it to an extent. Like no one in my circle had gone on a journey in that space. And So with the tribe, what the tribe did is it opened my mind to the other things that are important, because it's very easy to get sucked in the mental model of it's just technical skill set A to fix B, and you just do that, and if you do it long enough, you'll have enough success, and you'll be able to get everything, and you'll be happy. And you can, but in my mind, it was no. That I need to figure out the bits that I've missed. What haven't I focused on? So getting out of the bubble, the Awaretrepreneur tribe really, having those, well, as I call them, beautiful strangers from all walks of life who have done all sorts of amazing things. Just talking about their journey, giving you ideas, just little things. Like I went for a Reiki massage because the guys said go and do it, and I would never have thought of doing that ever in my life. And I went and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a great time in it.
That's right.
And it opened me up a little bit more. And it was just those little key turns. Talk to these people that aren't in your bubble. They don't know anything about you. They don't know your history really, apart from what you tell them. You have no real rapport. But in that interconnectivity of the openness, the kindness, the willingness, it opens something in you. And it opens you up to being more kind and willing and connected with yourself. It opens you up to be more kind and willing and connected with the people around you. It'll change what you think is important. We think a lot of the time that work's the most important thing because you're there for 8 hours a day and you've got to pay the bills and you've got to do that. And it's very important, but it isn't the most important thing. It's not more important than you. It's not more important than your family or your health or anything else. And it really just took my mind out of that logical scientific space and put it back into that personal, who are we, inward sort of, I'd say spiritual because I don't know a better word for it, but it's that it just changed my mind to just lean in that direction a bit more. And
expanded awareness in that regard.
Yeah, because I had the confidence to do so because I was seeing other people do it. And they had no reason to be, there was no skin in the game for them if I did or didn't do it. But they suggested, I saw that they did it and it helped them. And I thought, well, the evidence is there, so you got to do it yourself. And it's been amazing. I feel more confident in those, the skill sets that you need as a businessman that, aren't in the highly technical and by technical, I mean your speciality.
Yeah, that's right.
Not in that space. And that's, it's opening doors, and I can see it's opening doors. I'm more confident to talk to people about what I do. It's allowed me to better define who I want to be and what change I want to make in the world and what I want my project, my business to do. And when that starts to happen, you start to build momentum because now you've got a direction to push in. It's like I was pushing things in every direction at once. And then wondering why I'm not getting no feedback. So, of course you're not. You haven't got enough bandwidth to get the feedback anyway if you were getting it, but chances are you're not. So it just allowed me to sort of focus that down and
get it tapped into you, get it tapped into your core and what you want to do to grow.
Yeah. I say that, the business and me are a team together. We're not one and the same. And it took me a while to change my mind on that because I was putting so much pressure on myself that in order to be successful, a successful human, this business must be successful. Yeah. And maybe outwardly as a quantitative factor, that's probably correct. But in reality, the I need to treat my business like I would treat a member of my team, as a leader. And and I would expect that the business as an entity needs to sort of do the same for the customers and the clients. And when I sort of started to think like that, it became, well, I can just be me, and I can run a business. I'm not a business running me.
Perfect.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
the Awaretrepreneur journey.
Yeah.
And it's because our businesses and projects become the expression of who and what we are, and how do we arrive at that clarity? How do we get those awarenesses to work that out, to consolidate elements of what we need to close off certain chapters and things? It's through, what we're really borrowing on thousands and thousands and thousands of years of very simple of tribal mentoring model. People are sitting on their ass in a circle around a fire, and they're deeply connecting under a set of core values. They're sharing wisdoms collaboratively. They're very much, and you must notice this in clan work. And obviously you agreed to it, because obviously we have protocols and agreements to come into the Awaretrepreneur tribe, not just the values, but clan work even more so, where when someone else is sharing what they're going through and they're looking for their support, whether it's in a personal pillar or business pillar, everyone else is fully invested in that. Everyone is like, I'm there. All of a sudden when you're speaking, Lastline Solutions got a team of seven people that are just ready for your growth. And so that business becoming an expression of how you're growing, that's really what becoming an Awaretrepreneur is about. And that's the journey and it's like what you said way back at the beginning. There's no click your fingers on this, right? It's an unfolding. And as you've weaved in and out of so many different things, recently you've been speaking about your father and rebuilding that relationship. And then look at how the work we've been doing in and around that, look at how that has tied into confidence levels in and around your business. So I guess with that, Martin, have you got a question? The question I was going to head is kind of what's next in your inner growth, and then what's the future look like for Lastline Solutions? Unless, Martin, have you got some other stuff that
just
really
one thought? I'm just fascinated if when you came into the clan and started to just see these people being very open, did you in any way sort of see yourself in them?
I'd say looking back, yeah, I did, because you could sort of feel the journey they've been on. And each person everyone we connect with has something we can find and go, well, that's kind of me. And other people, there's less. So certainly within the clan, there's people I felt their journey resonated with me more than others.
Yeah.
But you could see those journeys that they'd taken, and yet I think one of the great things of the clan is that we're not all coming in as guys like me who are just starting that initial journey. We've got people in there who are joining who have already had massive success. Have built this stuff, have been down the road, made the mistakes, and when they talk, and you kind of feel a sense of yourself in what they're saying, or an experience you can resonate with, it gives you confidence. It really, really does. Someone's got a lot to tunnel, right? Like there's not many people who are out there on their own trudging a journey that no one's ever been on before. There are some, and they're good innovators and great, but they're the 0.0001% of people, right? Whereas other people, and we need to leverage into that and try and take those experiences from others and what they've learned and where they've gone. And so I definitely did see that, that could be me in 5 years. Or I remember, I felt like that a few years ago as well. And then I went this way and they went that way. And so, okay, I think it's an idea of, the different decisions I can make. So it's, with the way that my brain works, I do take deep dives on that. But yeah, definitely I could definitely feel.
Yeah. It's sort of like you're getting the inside story. You're not just seeing the veneer. What's so powerful is you're not just seeing the veneer of these various successful people.
Yeah.
But you're actually seeing the mechanics of them you know, there's stories of how they've got to where they are, and the wisdoms that they've accrued over that time.
Yeah.
But also you're seeing the process of them seeking to apply those into their current situation.
Yeah, definitely.
And them seeking to, you know, take further steps. And you're getting this sort of inside track on this diverse range of people that are sort of similar to yourself,
Yeah.
with similar values, but obviously different sort of project. Yeah, and yeah, I can see that when Rich and I are overseeing the group, I can see that process going on and
Yeah.
see things clicking through just learning. It's like an accelerated learning circle.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Yeah, you
Yeah.
you just kind of wake up one day and you start doing stuff and you go, where did I learn that? But by that I mean like your mental way you're thinking about stuff. You go, where'd that come from? And you go, oh, well, there's one big change I've made. It's probably got something to do with that.
Yeah. Oh, cool. No, it's just great to get your reflection on that, because I sort of have been perceiving that, but it's really interesting to get your feedback in relation to that. So cool. What was, Rich, you were saying, where is the question now is where do you think it's headed?
Yeah, and I guess, within this, because obviously this is episode 1, we're giving some context, people listen to this going, Awaretrepreneur, that's a bit of a tongue twister. It's pretty tricky to get it. So the idea of this journey we're unfolding with this Diary of Awaretrepreneur is that, we're on a collective mission, really, the people in this community, to bring the humanity back into business, because we're of the shared belief that that first and foremost we're humans, and that we're interconnected. Things that you've shared, things that you've spoken about today. And that we're in I guess, a collective agreement that we would like to see things improve. And we can, I mean, for someone like you, it must be tough, like 2023 is tough. Like, you've got a brilliant mind for analyzing faults, flaws, issues in systems and all the rest of it. And we've got there's some big shit going on at the moment in the world, in the way that things are structured and set up. And you've got a daughter already, older daughter, and you've got another one on the way. So there's this sense of and I think it's inside all of us innately, and it gets sideswept, right? So fear, lack, greed, a whole, sometimes just systematic pressure, and sometimes just plain and simple, people just give up. It's just like, I just don't have the energy to try to innovate or make major changes for myself, let alone the world. Whereas with the Awaretrepreneur tribe, it's like, hey, come and gather around the fire. We're all up for this. We're gonna have a crack at this in our own little tiny ways, and it's back to that old Gandhi thing. You want to change the world, change yourself, be the change you want to see. And that's really the collective vision and mission. And we want to see we want to see the culture and vision of business change to being one more of humanistic, more equality, products and services that are out there for the purposes of growth and evolution of what's happening for us as a humanity, for solving the problems that we've now created. Because we're brilliant. We're an incredible species. It's like, if you would like any species to create massive, catastrophic problems, we're up for it. Humans are, give us that job, and we can, if you know what I mean, we would, we can destroy entire ecosystems, but you want to get us on the bandwagon of solving some problems as well. We're good at that too. Yeah. And I loved the other day when you spoke about your military experience, where it's like, of course, we know what the military's there for. We get it. We know, it's gonna, what it does. It's a machine, and for defending or attacking, and we're talking, damage of the highest level. Catastrophic mass loss of human life, right? But you were talking about those times where you get deployed, like you were, where it's like, dropping off carrots and apples to cows that are starving, and being out there helping. And we're kind of the feeling that really that's the core of humans, right? In our ultimate core, we want to serve, we want to help, and we want to see things evolve, right? And we believe that there's a potential for business to shift in that culture. So with that in mind, and that, I guess, that frame, what is it in you that's next? In the clan work that you're continuing to do with us, what do you think are the next things in you that need to grow and change? And what would you say to someone listening about taking on that kind of a path where it's like, sure, you'll get your business mentoring, you'll get your thoughts and ideas around strategy, you get to bounce your modeling and marketing and all the rest of it, but come in with your eyes open, because this is actually about real growth of you as a human, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And so what's 2024 got in store in that regard, and then how are we going to see Lastline Solutions be a representation in the world of James Last?
Yeah, so well, you touched on it. So I've got a baby on the way. So 2024 is going to be a big year of change,
Yeah.
Which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
One of the things I've kind of done in our work and that I've internalized is that I used to always put a deadline on change. Like everything has to be done perfectly, which is not possible by this time, or it's complete failure. And I've been working on myself to change that. So next year is my internal personal growth goal is to stop putting timelines on things. There's time and place for them. We know that, but when it comes to the big growth and the big changes and the big movements, you're just adding pressure where pressure's not needed. So no timelines on me for change. I will change and I will grow.
For sure.
But I'm not putting a deadline on it. I'm not going to be checking dot points every month and trying to do that. It's not that kind of growth. So that's sort of number one. And with that in mind, the business and my project, what I'm going to do is put myself in front of as many people as I can and just talk about how their systems work and get to know them and their businesses and what do they do and where do they think they can improve and what have I seen, share my story of when I've seen things go wrong, when I've made mistakes. I remember I walked out to an aircraft once at about 4 o'clock in the morning. We'd been working long hours. I just got back from Timor. I was then on exercise. I walked back into the flight line and I said to a friend of mine, I said, I can't remember if this is the part I walked out with or the part that I took off the aircraft. Which sounds crazy, right? Now we went and checked and we made sure it was all good, but those things can happen. Anyone who's done sort of that kind of job has been there, and they happen because the system isn't working to stop me from being in that position in the first place, or at least mitigate it.
Yeah.
There are ways that we know we can do that better so that we don't end up in that position. And it's about having those discussions and sharing myself and saying, this is who I am, this is what I do. I'm interested in what you do, and if you're interested in working together, we'll do it with my teammate, Lastline Solutions. And I just want to see that grow in a natural, as unforced way as possible. Because I'm not selling a physical product. I'm not walking in with a box of stuff. I'm walking in with processes and policies and philosophies, and which are all needed, and they're all based in good science. But it's about putting all those bits together in an organisation that'll be different everywhere we go, and that's what excites me. That's what excites me. So, in a nutshell, that's my 2024 is become a dad again. Be as good at that as I can be. Stop putting deadlines on myself, and talk to as many people as I can.
Yeah,
I'm quite lucky in where I am in life, and I'm going to be able to do that and let it sort of naturally grow in the way it needs to.
Beautiful. And do you think, being in Kookaburra, you're in Kookaburra's clan in the Awaretrepreneur tribe, like choosing to put yourself in a container like that. Basically, I mean, you've got no choice. Hey, like growth is going to occur by virtue of the fact that you're showing up to something of that nature.
Yeah, 100%. And there's checks and balances in there. Like the team are allowed to say, hey, you've been saying this is happening. I think you're stalling. Good. No, thank you. Hey, because I can say, I stalled in this way once, and this is what happened, and I don't want you to see them make the same mistake. Great. Yeah. So 100%. Like I already have the inputs. It's just about processing those and producing the outputs. And I've probably been too focused on the outputs for a long part of my life, and now I need to focus a bit more on the process.
Yeah. Beautiful, James. Beautiful. Martin, anything else from you with James? And there's so much gold in there for people listening, so much, I'm putting
Yes,
myself
great.
in the
Look,
listener's shoes.
I feel that you've sort of got this amazing superpower of honesty. I think you've got incredible ethical sense of honesty that is really powerful. And in terms of what you're seeking to do, it's just such a key because that's really what's required, to make a difference in terms of upgrading systems. There's honesty about where the pitfalls are, where the flaws are and the glitches are in the systems. And it's all very well to say, oh, everything's great, we're wonderful and so on. But that commitment to honesty that you have, I think is sort of your superpower. And the world needs more of it. There's just, there's so much self-deception. There's so much deception on so many levels of people seeking to sell, to distort things, in their own interests. Whereas as your incredibly honest, clear, sort of committed approach, I just think is going to be an incredible a gift to anyone who you end up working alongside. So that's just my reflection, and to me that's really showed through in terms of the stories and what you've shared with us at this time. It's awesome.
Thank you, Martin. And it's the Awaretrepreneur stuff has been a big help for that.
Yeah, awesome.
Didn't feel like
yeah,
a
it's
superpower.
true.
It felt like I was always vilified or pushed away, but that was just the environment I was in. It wasn't a me thing. And it's a core value of my business. The number one core value is for Lastline Solutions is generate honest advice to and from all levels of the system. That's where it is.
And that's who you are.
Yeah.
That's the
and
beautiful
that's a part
thing.
of your
It's an
essence.
expression of who you are. And that's just so in alignment. And it totally resonates with me as totally completely authentic.
That's what an Awaretrepreneur is.
Right.
It's someone who's bringing forth through a project, a creative project, a business, a whatever. They're bringing forth their authentic self, which is always evolving, right? And there is no perfection.
Yeah.
But it's a consistent commitment to expanded awareness, expanded self-understanding and growth, and then the reflection of that growth, that self-understanding into the business, into its products, into its and that is the pathway of becoming an Awaretrepreneur, which you've chosen to take. And I honestly believe that the more business owners that chose that as a pathway, we are going to see incredible changes in this world if that's how it's being approach in that world of business. So basically, just we're so proud to have you in the Awaretrepreneur Tribe and to see what you're going to do. And who knows, because this is episode 1 of Diary of an Awaretrepreneur, like maybe what we do is we do it again in a 12 months time and people can like cross-reference.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Do interviews. That'd be super cool. All right, Martin, thank you so much.
Thanks,
beautiful
James.
Friend
Amazing.
and co-mentor in this project. And James, thank you. Much love and have a great Christmas. And then for everyone listening, there'll be some links somewhere, like come, even if just to come in and come and meet our community, come to the networking meetings, or if you want some deeper support and some deeper help and want to come into one of the clan groups, we welcome you with open arms.
100%. Yeah, thanks guys for having me, and thanks for the invite, and most of all, thank you all for all of the support and help you've provided me. It's truly life-changing the stuff you're doing, and the world needs it, and it's great that it's you two guys are at the charge of it. It's fantastic. So thank you very much.
Good on you. Awesome, man. All right. Have a beautiful Chrissy.
Take care, guys.
See you soon, James.
Cheers.
Bye. Mm.